Hey, Jam, have you ever heard that you should take vitamin C for a cold?
I have heard that vitamin C helps our immune system, but I've also heard mixed things about it. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah,
What about vitamin C on your skin?
I've never heard that. I don't think.
What about vitamin C as a preservative in food?
I think I have heard about that, like putting something that has vitamin C in it, like on apples so they don't turn brown. I think we talked about that, didn't we?
Maybe.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever wondered about why your pets don't need vitamin C?
I have not wondered about that because now I don't have any pets. But even when I did, I don't think I wondered about it.
What about scurvy?
I have heard that vitamin C and scurvy are like a thing. I think we talked about that too, actually.
Oh,
that it
whoops.
helps.
I'm accidentally spoiling things for myself then.
I think we talked about that a while back, but I can't remember.
Okay, well, today I pondered all those questions and many more about vitamin C, and I got really excited to share with you things that I learned about vitamin C. And so we're going to talk all about vitamin C.
Nice.
Actually, not all about it, but a lot about it.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. Hey, I'm Melissa.
I'm Jam.
And I'm a chemist.
And I'm not.
And welcome to Chemistry for Your Life.
That podcast helps you understand the chemistry of your everyday life.
Okay, so before we start with this episode, I want to say a few things.
Okay.
One, this episode is dedicated to Jessie, the newest member of our community.
Woohoo!
She has been messaging with me on Instagram, and she actually is in like the beauty industry, I think, and has sent a lot of interesting fun facts about that after the episode about older people having a distinct smell. And so I kind of felt like this would be the perfect episode for her because it has a tie-in to vitamin C, as a tie-in to skin.
Oh, cool.
care.
Okay, awesome. Yes, Jessie, thank you for joining our chem community, for helping keep our show going. People who join our chem community get to have some behind-the-scenes stuff. They get the show ad-free. They get an extra bonus episode every month.
100%.
And they get to come, some of them get to come to a coffee hour with us, or all kinds of cool things. So we're excited to get to know you, Jessie. And thanks for supporting the show and helping keep it free for everyone.
Yeah, we're so excited. It's so fun when we get new members of our community. It feels like we're just making new friends and get to chat with people. So I really like it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so that was one thing I wanted to say.
Okay.
Another thing is this, I'm just warning you up front that this is going to be a two-parter. Okay, there's too much information, and I got so excited about this episode. Okay, I know I say that about every episode, but I really did, because here's what happened.
Okay.
I was going to do an episode about FDA and how they regulate supplements. But then somebody sent me a thing that was like a spray that you can use on your skin after you get out of the pool. That's a vitamin C spray. And I was like, I don't know about that. And so then I started researching, and I thought it was going to be kind of like a vitamin C in your immune system, vitamin C free radicals, and that would be the whole episode, and that would be the whole story, and it'd be kind of straightforward. And it became something totally different. And I was like, what? And it has so many good chemistry. It's like all these chemistry lessons that we have talked about previously are put to use in one setting.
Interesting.
And so that's exciting. And I was like, I just didn't even know that vitamin C had anything to do with any of this stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
So anyway, that's what happened. So I was like, how can I fit all this into an episode? And I came to the conclusion that I just can't. So what we're going to do today is the main chemistry lesson about what vitamin C mostly does in your body.
Okay.
Like the main thing, that why we need it in scurvy and stuff. And then next week, we're going to talk about like all the extra fun facts about vitamin C, like what role does it play in your immune system? Can it prevent colds? Why do we use it as a preservative? What is it doing in that setting? What about skincare? So we're going to get into that and all these other chemistry applications, but we're going to start just with like, why do we need vitamin C to not die?
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Yay. Okay. I'm so happy. I love this episode so much. Okay. So also on this one, I am not going to dive deep into the history of or the impact of like discovering vitamin C. It goes back way earlier than you might think, like into the early 1500s, being linked to scurvy. I just don't feel like we have time for that. And we're not a history podcast.
Right.
But there is an episode of This Podcast Will Kill You that I did use to sort of jumpstart some of my research, and they do delve into that.
Right.
So it already exists. So you don't need to hear it from me. There's other experts that can tell you about that and a lot of the repercussions of what happens if you get scurvy. So you can check that out if you're interested in more background information, especially specifically about scurvy, because that podcast is about diseases and it's from two biologists. So
and our podcast won't kill you.
Yeah. This podcast won't kill you.
Yeah.
That podcast maybe will.
Yeah.
Or it'll tell you about things that will.
Right.
Okay. So that's my other disclaimer. I feel like I have a lot of disclaimers up front. So let's just get started. Okay. So one of the most important things that vitamin C does in our body is support the production of collagen.
Okay.
Do you know what collagen is?
I know that my mother-in-law like takes collagen or like puts it in a tea or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a supplement or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the word. I feel like in the past 3 or 4 years, I've heard it a lot.
Yeah.
And before that, I could not tell you that I ever had heard it.
Okay. Well, on the subject of vitamins and supplements, I don't know if collagen ingested really does all the things that people say it does, but collagen is a protein.
Right.
So I actually take a protein powder that has collagen protein because whey protein upsets my stomach. So there you go. So collagen is a protein.
Okay.
I don't know about it, and we're not going to talk about today the supplement aspect of it. But it's present everywhere in our bodies and in lots of animals' bodies. So, sorry, I lost my spot. Okay, collagen is, the best way I can think of it is it's sort of like the underlying rigid structure for everything in our body. It's in our skin, it's in our gums, and it makes so much possible that I actually just took a quote straight out of my biochemistry textbook. I modified it for clarity, but I'm going to read it because I think this does a really good job. It says collagen is a rigid protein that is the main component of connective tissue in animals. This includes tendons, cartilage, bone, teeth, skin, and blood vessels. The strength of collagen fibers in these structures makes it possible to do various animal activities. We're animals, remember? So, such as running and jumping that put stress on joints and the skeleton. And then when we have broken bones and tendons and cartilage injuries, that is because of a tear in collagen matrix, or like the collagen structure underlying everything, or overextensions, like putting too much pressure on the collagen matrix. So basically collagen is secretly hiding in everything.
Wow.
Which I probably already would have known if I had paid better attention in biochemistry, but I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Did you know that?
No, I mean, I think whenever I asked about it at one point, because of my mother-in-law taking it or something about me hearing about it, I heard something about that, like, for bone health or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Again, we don't know about the supplement thing, but that's the reason people would take it, is because of it being very essential to a lot of important stuff in our bodies.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was that many things.
Me neither.
That's crazy.
And so I tried to think of something, and I could only come up with 2 analogies. And one is like, it's like the skeleton for our skeleton, kind of, or a skeleton for our bodies. Like it's the underlying structure that keeps us from not being a puddle. Or the other thing I thought is, you know, when we talked about gluten, how we're like, it's kind of the underlying structure of the bread. I feel like that's kind of what collagen is for all of our tissues. It's this underlying structure of our tissues.
And what we just talked about in the re-release we just did about do anti-aging products work, we talked about the dermis layer in our skin, which is a structure layer or whatever. I was just re-listening to that when we re-broadcast that one. And just thinking about like, oh yeah, all these things need something.
Some structure.
They got to have some structure,
yes.
or we would be like a puddle. Like, what would keep us from just, which is crazy. And
vitamin C deficiencies linked to scurvy. A lot of times scurvy is kind of like us going back to being puddles. Sort of going back to, we didn't start as that, but it's like, if we lose our vitamin C, we might lose our collagen. We might just become little puddles.
Dang.
Okay, so just to put it another way, collagen is, the reason we're able to function. And it's partially because collagen is strong. I guess a reason we're able to function. The reason we're able to do a lot of things like run and jump and whatever. And partially it's because the collagen is strong and holds these things together. And I think that, oh, sorry. I was so excited that I stopped looking at my notes. I think that might happen a lot in this episode. Okay, so I try to think of like our body parts, think of like your arm. And if you zoomed into the tissue of your arm, you would see this collagen, network. And so I kind of want you to think of the collagen network as like a net. Okay. So there's this collagen network that's like a net. And then if you zoomed in further, if you look at a net, it's actually made up of a bunch of different ropes tied together with knots, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And then now zoom in further into the rope. Oftentimes ropes are made up of a bunch of smaller strings twisted together.
Right.
Okay. So that is kind of what's going on in collagen. So in collagen, it's sort of like a matrix of all these smaller individual strands of collagen that are sort of tied together. Okay. And now the individual strands or the rope that make up the collagen or the net would be called tropocollagen. So tropocollagen is like equivalent to the rope. And the collagen structure or matrix in our body is the net. Okay. Now, tropocollagen, the rope, is made up of 3 smaller strands of proteins twisted together. And the best analogy I heard for visualizing that in your mind is, those, I don't like Twizzlers, but those Twizzlers that are like pull apart Twizzlers?
Yes, I just had some on the road trip we were on.
Perfect. And they're like 3 strands a lot of times, or even more.
Yeah, it's like 9 or something like
that.
Okay. Yeah. But yes.
Okay, so imagine, that, where it's like the strands twisted together. That's a helix, okay? And there could be a double helix that's just 2 strands sort of twisted together, or there could be a triple helix with 3, or that's really like a non-helix for 9. So a Twizzler is a great example of like the individual tropocollagens are made up of strands of smaller collagens that are twisted and bound together.
Would you say, just so I can get it straight, the types of collagen, the tropo, one more time.
Tropocollagen is the rope.
Okay, got it.
The collagen matrix made up of the smaller tropocollagens is the net.
Okay.
And then the individual collagens, the individual strands that make it up are, I didn't write it down. They have a name, but we'll just call them the individual strands.
All right, got it.
Okay. It's some biochemistry word. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so these 3 twisted strands together, that does add a lot to the strength of collagen because 3 strands twisted together is a lot stronger than 1. Just having something twisted up like that is going to be a lot stronger. But also, they're held together by a very strong force.
Is it intermolecular forces?
It is intermolecular forces. Okay, so, and it's the strongest of intermolecular forces. Do you know what that is?
Hydrogen bonding.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, yes. This is when I really started to like lose my mind.
You know what's crazy?
What?
Is that this is turning out to be so much more like one of the jokes we've made than we initially thought. In the sense that we have coined the phrase from early days of the podcast, may the intermolecular forces be with you.
Yeah.
Like, may the force be with you.
Yeah.
Controversially, what everyone say in the prequels of the Star Wars movies, George Lucas decided to introduce an element, a deeper understanding of the force, which is that there are these things, midichlorians, which is like, now we're talking about the force, the intermolecular forces exist in our bodies in like most basic level way that are in our bodies. And
they're the midichlorians.
Exactly like the midichlorians. So it's kind of crazy. We didn't know that we made that joke. It just sounded funny.
Yeah.
Or I mean, maybe you did know that, but it was off the cuff. And now we're finding out it's just even more and more like Star Wars than we thought.
Well, guess what the next line that I have written down is?
What?
It's the return of the intermolecular forces.
Nice.
So that's a play on Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Or Return of the King, I guess.
Yeah. Or the Force Awakens was the
Force.
The intermolecular forces awaken.
Intermolecular forces awaken. Well, they really kind of do awaken.
Yeah.
Also, I'll get into this a little bit more because we're talking about collagen now, and I don't know if you remember, but this is an episode about vitamin C.
Right. Okay.
So you're probably like, what the heck? Okay, so
vitamin C for collagen?
Vitamin C for collagen, no. No, remember the names are in the order of alphabet. I was like, is it that? And then I had to tell myself no.
Well, one was about blood, vitamin K. So something I got from me. Okay, all right.
Okay. So just for those of you who haven't heard our earlier episodes and you're like, what is an intermolecular force or hydrogen bonding? I'm going to take a pause to explain right now, and you can listen to many of our earlier episodes. We talk about this, but essentially intermolecular forces are, if you imagine two molecules coming close together, they may be attracted to one another. And there's a lot of different ways they can be attracted to each other that all kind of revolve around electrons. And the simplest way is just when they come near each other like magnets, they might repel, or basically the electrons line up in a way they can be close to each other. But some of them, the way the molecules are built, there's areas that are richer in electrons and areas that are poorer in electrons, and electrons are negative. So that means there's more negative sides and more positive sides. And so when they come together, they naturally will line up where the negative sides and the positive sides of the molecules line up. And then they are really attracted to each other because there's a negative side and a positive side. And sometimes in the most extreme cases, when there's something that really likes electrons, like oxygen, next to something that's really okay not having electrons, like hydrogen, the pole that it creates with the electron-rich area and the electron-poor area is so strong that it is the best way I can describe it is the closest thing to an actual bond between two molecules without actually being a bond between two molecules. So it's like, I like to call it, I guess the ones where there's poles, they call it a dipole. This is like a super dipole. It's the strongest force that can exist between two molecules, I think. Maybe that's too much of an extreme, but it is the strongest one that you typically learn about at this stage between two molecules that isn't a bond. It's not considered a bond. It's tricksy though, because they call it hydrogen bonding because it acts like that. Okay, so in this case, hydrogen bonding is going on between these three strands that allows these three strands to be really strongly connected to each other. And they occur at just the right places so that it has this nice triple helix formation. And so it's strong both structurally because it's the three tied together, and it's strong chemically or electronically because of the charge holding them together.
Got it. Okay.
So it's very strong. And if you remember, early on, we talked about how the structure of collagen being strong is why, everything we can do works.
Yes. Got it.
Okay. So now I'm going to take it actually one step further back.
Okay.
Which is, still, you're probably wondering, where's vitamin C in this? Okay, when those individual strands that make up collagen are being made, they are each a little protein. And I don't know if you remember, but proteins have amino acids. They're made up of amino acids.
Yes.
So proteins are what we call polymers, which is
a large molecule made up of repeating smaller molecules.
Yeah.
Units.
Repeating smaller units.
Yep.
Totally. So in the case of proteins, those are amino acids, which amino acid, we've talked about this a little, is just a specific type of molecule that has certain functional groups. And when we say functional groups, we mean like a collection of atoms that are arranged in a certain way that act in a certain way. So basically proteins are just made up of these little repeating units that you would expect to act in a certain way.
Got it.
Okay, so the specific pattern of amino acids or repeating units in these individual collagen strands are not known to have, they don't come ready-made with the alcohol groups that you would need to form this triple helix.
Okay.
So they're made, and then they sort of get twisted to, is that before or after they get twisted? Now I can't remember. They're made, I think they're not twisted together yet. They're made 3 individual strands, and then they go through a process caused by an enzyme that attaches on groups with oxygen and hydrogen. We call them alcohol groups or hydroxyl groups. So they attach on alcohol groups where they weren't already there.
Okay.
Okay. So they is called like hydroxylase.
Mm-hmm.
Hydroxylase, yeah. So they add these alcohol groups where they weren't already. And then when the alcohol groups are on, they're in the perfect right place to make our triple helix. Because you need the alcohol with the super strong dipole, the super strong negative in one place, the super strong positive in the other, for it to be connected to the other molecules, for it to line up just right.
Okay.
So these three have, after production, there's an enzyme that comes along and is like, oh, we want these three things to bind together strongly, but they're not binding together strongly right now. So I'm going to add the fasteners. This is sort of how you can think about it. I'm going to add the glue that's going to be able to hold these together.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, that enzyme needs vitamin C to function.
Okay.
Because that enzyme needs a metal. Did I write it down? I think it's iron. Pretty sure it's iron. So that enzyme needs iron, and iron can oxidize, but vitamin C will stop it from oxidizing. And so vitamin C, basically, this is the best way I could think of it. Say there's like a machine that's pumping out these strands, that then these strands come together just right, and then they're able to tie into knots and make this big mesh. And the thing that makes it to where the strands get pumped out in the first place is this machine that needs oil.
Got it.
And vitamin C is the oil.
Got it. Okay.
Vitamin C makes it so that that enzyme can function. And when the enzyme can function, it'll add our little alcohol groups on. And the alcohol groups are responsible for the hydrogen bonding, at least partially, that twists these three strands together just right and makes them chemically strong and structurally strong. And then those strands, these ropes that have formed with these three strands, then they go on to be, they bind with one another to make this matrix. And guess how they bind with one another in the matrix?
Another enzyme?
No.
Intermolecular forces?
Intermolecular forces. So they not only does this vitamin C oil make the machine, let the strands have the right things to twist together just right, but also it's responsible, the oil, for the part where they make the knots. So it basically makes it to where everything can happen.
Got it. So once...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just say, so once they've been twisted into a helix...
Yeah.
Which that's like the rope part.
Yep.
That's like now, because almost all ropes are multiple strands.
Yep.
Once it's in that state, then it automatically starts tangling up with other ones.
It'll go
because of the forces.
Once it gets pumped out of the cell into wherever it'll start to tangle up with other ones to make this nice matrix because of the intermolecular.
Because of the forces, because the alcohol groups that are there and stuff, and it starts wanting to connect to other ones.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Wow.
So if we don't add the alcohol groups, the strands can't twist together, and the strands can't twist in with others.
Other strands.
So then we start to get mushy and weak. And that results in scurvy, which your teeth can fall out. You can have internal bleeding because basically your muscles just start to like bleed out.
Wow.
You can bleed into your joints. You have joint pain. Like there's all kinds of stuff that it's like it sounds like your body's just liquefying because it's losing its internal structure.
Wow, dang. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. So that I can see what you mean now about like the question mark about taking more collagen, because depending on the person, it actually might be that you have plenty being made, you just need it to twist together the right way.
Yeah.
You need the vitamin C, the enzyme needs to have what it needs to twist them together to add the alcohol groups on. There's so many parts of the process that depending on the person, you might need this and not that or whatever.
Yeah, and I also don't know how this is like very gray for me in the supplement area, because if you're taking in collagen, I would think that as you're ingesting it, your body would break it down just like any other protein. And so I don't think it would be saved in its collagen structure. I think the benefit of it is the protein.
Got it.
But I don't know. I have not looked into that at all. I kind of forgot that people even took it as supplements. I kind of forgot that it was even in my protein powder until you said that. Yeah. Because to me, the fact that it's collagen protein is kind of irrelevant. I don't take it because it's collagen protein.
You need it to be protein.
I just need it to be protein. Yeah. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
But I have, now that you say that, have heard other people take collagen protein. I don't know at all. It's hard for me to know how that would translate into the structures of your body.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
I don't know. And guess what? We'll talk about this next time, but the FDA doesn't regulate those claims.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So actually, I don't know if we'll talk about this next time because this is becoming a whole.
Right.
Well, I'm like deep in it now.
Yeah.
I'm like, should we talk about how should we add salts and electrolytes to our water? Should we talk about supplements and minerals? Should we talk about more about vitamin C? I'm like very
right.
I'm in the forays of it.
Dang, that's crazy. Okay.
Okay, so I think let me just make sure. But I think this would be a good time for you to
explain it
back. But let me just make sure. Okay. So we talked about how, yes. Yep. Okay. And we talked about the functional groups. We talked about the hydrogen bonding. We talked about the polymers. We talked very briefly about how the metal will oxidize, which you know what oxidizing is based on our episode of rust.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about why we need vitamin C to prevent scurvy because it's the oil. Okay, I think we covered it all.
Okay.
I'm so excited. It's so many little chemistry lessons in one. Do you see why I was like...
It's so many, reviewing so many different things, which just have been kind of essential to many different episodes, but all in one.
All in one, and in like a secret thing that I didn't even think vitamin C was connected to.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure the biochemists out here are like, you silly goose, we knew. But I didn't. I only thought it was connected with the immune system.
Uh-oh, silly goose on the loose.
I know.
Uh-oh.
So I only thought it was connected with the immune system. So I just love learning new things, and it's really fun when you get to kind of find it out. On your own. So anyway,
definitely.
It's very exciting.
Okay. So collagen is a protein.
Yes.
Proteins are made up of, or they are a polymer, which is a large molecule made up of repeating small units. Talked about that many times. In protein's case, it's made up of amino acids.
Yep.
So collagen is one that is integral to the structure of our bodies.
Yep.
Many places of tissue, bones, muscles, teeth. What else did you say? Gums.
Yeah. Let me look. I can look back up to my little quote from my book. Tendons, cartilage, bones, teeth, skin, and blood vessels.
There we go.
And on the episode of this podcast, Will Kill You, I listened to, they talked about how is your blood just going to start going everywhere because your blood vessels aren't strong enough anymore because they don't have the collagen? And it seemed like, yes.
Ooh,
I don't know if that's true, but that's like what they seemed like that was the response.
So it's needed for all kinds of very important things. I love having blood vessels. I love having muscles, bones, tissue, cartilage, tendons. I love having all that stuff, and I like having it work.
Yeah, me too.
And so we need it for that. But it's not enough just for it to be like a protein that just exists. It has to be turned into this really good structure web netting kind of stuff. And it doesn't just happen accidentally.
Nope.
Our bodies are turning it into that.
That in itself is amazing.
Right. So those strands of the collagen, those get made by our bodies, right? A single strand, like a single string, like a little thin, like single thread gets made by our bodies. But for it to get from that into something that can actually create this netting, an enzyme attaches alcohol groups to these strands.
Yep.
And once several of those strands have gotten their alcohol groups added on, they it's like adding little magnets to different places of it.
Magnets.
Yep.
Yes.
We talked about, and my forces magnets are such a good example for that. We talked about that earlier. But it's like adding little magnets onto these strings or something. And then suddenly now they are very interested in and attracted to, because of the intermolecular forces of the alcohol groups being stuck together.
Yes. You described that so well.
Several of them suddenly click together. I have we were just actually removing some kids' toys that had been left in here. Then these magnet tiles, they have they're plastic. There's little pieces of magnets in there that help them stick together and stuff. So it's like, it's almost like you could add a little bit of magneticness to parts of it. And suddenly now you can twist these collagen threads into a rope of several of those threads together. And once the enzymes have added that on, then they could also then go and magnetically tangle up with a bunch more ropes and create the netting. But the crucial part that needs to go from thread to rope to net is the enzyme that does that, adding on the magneticness, adding on the alcohol groups, must have vitamin C in order to do that. It's like the oil that lets the machine run kind of thing smoothly. Yeah. And without that, we'd have just a bunch of loose threads of collagen not creating any sort of structure. And a bunch of loose threads in all those areas of our body would be a big problem because we wouldn't have blood vessels. The blood vessels wouldn't be able to form it like a structure. It'd just be like random threads of proteins.
Exactly. And
everything would turn into chaos in our bodies pretty fast, or would never become a body in the first place.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And yeah, so for some reason, it's vitamin C that it needs.
Yeah.
And it's why it's one of the vital amines.
That's right.
One of the very, very integral parts of our bodies.
Isn't that amazing?
That is crazy.
I had no idea.
So is scurvy just another word for saying a vitamin C deficiency? Like, or do you like get sick with it and somebody gave you scurvy? Does that make sense?
No, yeah. It is just, it's not an infectious disease.
Got it. Okay.
It is, you don't have enough vitamin C for your collagen to be made so your body starts. I mean, the way they described it, and I think you would learn a lot more from the biologist than me, seems like your body just kind of literally starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have structure.
I've heard those things tied together so much, and it's like, oh, it's a big deal once they figure it out. Vitamin C prevents scurvy. Yeah. But I never quite got, and maybe even the people saying this didn't even understand, that scurvy is not a disease, or not like a thing that caused it. Which I think it could easily be, or like that could be what a lot of us easily think. Oh, something you got stopped your production or your use or your ability to like whatever vitamin C. So now you need to supplement.
Yeah.
You need to add it back in.
Especially because we've also all heard, and this is true, although I have not, we haven't talked about it yet. Vitamin C is necessary also for the functioning of your immune system, just like it's necessary for everything. So if you've heard, oh, you need it for your immune system. Oh, I have vitamin C deficiency, so my immune system must be down, so I must be at risk for scurvy. No, it's not that.
Right.
It's you don't eat enough vitamin C, your body starts to fall apart, and we call that scurvy.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Got it.
But
that helps a lot.
An interesting thing they did talk about, it kind of relates to you asking that question, is it was really hard for them to make that connection early on, as early as 1500 BC. They had connected a diet of fresh fruits and vegetables with scurvy, like preventing it. But there are a lot of, things lost to history, whatever. But also it's so, a lot of times you're thinking like, oh, it's limes or lemons is what was most often used, citrus. But they would turn that into a drink. And citrus fruit, when you boil vitamin C, it'll actually break it down. It breaks down at certain temperatures. And so if you take the citrus fruit to try to make a lemonade or some shelf stable thing so that they can carry it on ships with sailors and things, then the lemonade doesn't work. Then the lemon juice doesn't work. And so then they're thinking, well, we thought it was the lemons that cured it, but it must not be. It must be something else. And so there's like a lot of back and forth of what actually is causing scurvy. So really ancient civilizations even that recognized it. It's gone on for a really long time, but it was hard to notice and like say for sure, yeah, this is what.
Yeah. It's so funny because I always think of it as like it gets coupled in my mind with, pirates and sailors and stuff like that. And thinking about like, oh, well, down these boats, there's animals that are, it's like there's dirtiness and they're not living in like the most ideal conditions and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
That I was thinking about like, and they're getting sick. I was like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense. But it's weird that it's pretty disconnected from that. It's more about specifically the diet.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how filthy the ship is, how much animal stuff, excrement is piling up. It doesn't matter. It's that they don't have access to, didn't prepare for having good sources of vitamin C the whole duration of their trip. their body's going to fall apart.
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
Well, it's funny you say that too, but because our body does need vitamin C to function, including our immune system.
Yeah.
You can also get secondary infections if you are vitamin C deficient because your immune system is not functioning just like the rest of your body's not functioning.
Right.
And we'll talk more about the role of vitamin C in your immune system next week, or next episode. But so there were also secondary infections, and also there was it was very much associated with sailors and on ships. They would get to land and incidentally get fresh fruits and vegetables, and then come back on the boat, and everyone would be feeling a lot better. It was like, oh, maybe it was this nice air, whatever.
Yeah.
We got out of this gross whatever, and then people are back on the boat. They're not eating fresh fruits and vegetables, but it takes roughly a month for symptoms to show up.
Interesting.
So then they back on the boat for a month, and they think like, oh, well, it must not be the fruits and vegetables because we haven't had them for a month and we've been fine.
Right. Yeah, that's
which makes
crazy.
so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the danger of only having a tiny amount of information. It's not really enough to really actually tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
You think you've ruled something out. Oh, it couldn't have been the fruit.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you don't have enough information. It takes a month. It's like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. But the word scurvy even sounds so like sailor piratey to me. Arr,
yeah.
Scurvy.
I know.
Just there's something about it
Yeah.
that just is very, but it's crazy to kind of expand that to a much more like always been the case, always been possible, and always been something that different people recognized you need to do certain things to prevent it.
Yeah.
And very, very important to do.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know. It's so interesting. So there's a lot more to learn about the background of vitamin C and scurvy and how it was discovered and all these things. But I was just so excited about learning about this collagen piece, which no one has ever talked to me about before. That maybe they did in biochemistry class. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life I was going through a lot else, and I wasn't a great biochem student.
And maybe someone listening is like, I did teach you that or whatever.
Yeah. Sorry if you're the one who taught me that. And, listeners write in all the time and stuff. So who knows? But
yeah.
I was really excited about this. I was really excited to learn about collagen, and I was really excited that it's so tied into so many of these fundamental chemistry lessons that we keep coming back to, that I literally posted a video to our patrons in our Patreon and on our close friends for Instagram where our patrons are, because I was like, I can't contain my excitement in writing this episode, and I can't tell Jam about it because he likes to find out right when we get started. So I'm like, I have to tell someone how excited I am right now. So
that's cool.
Anyway, but I figured instead of going through like a happy thing from this week or a category, we could kind of leave it there on a cliffhanger.
Okay.
And then we'll pick up sort of the second half of the episode when I normally would tell you like fun facts or things. We're going to dive into that next week.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Hopefully. I mean, it could even drag out into 3 weeks. Who's to say?
Ooh.
But I'm having a great time.
Yeah. We're plunging deep into the sea of vitamin C.
Oh gosh, I really set you up for that. Anyway, so thanks to all of our listeners for. Oh, and I forgot to shout out Nicole B was the one who sent me. She's one of our listeners and a real life friend. She sent me the vitamin C spray. It was like a thing on Instagram that she sent, and
nice.
So shout out to her and shout out to Jesse, our new community person, for sending your ideas so that we can talk about chemistry. I can't believe we get to do this.
Yes. So like Melissa said, if you have thoughts, questions, ideas, please send those to us. Our website is the best place to send those, chemforyourlife.com. That's chemforyourlife.com to share your thoughts and ideas with us. If you'd like to help us keep our show going, contribute to cover the cost of making it like Jesse, you can join our super cool chem community of patrons on Patreon at patreon.com/chemforyourlife. You get cool perks. You get ad-free episodes. You get bonus episode. You get little cool behind-the-scenes stuff from us. All kinds of stuff. We'd love for you to join us over there. If you're not able to do that, though, you can still help us by subscribing on your favorite podcast app, writing a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, also subscribing on YouTube and leaving a comment over there on one of our YouTube videos. Those things help us to share chemistry with even more people, help the show to get noticed by others, and we appreciate all the help and the ways that y'all do that. It means the world to us.
This episode of Chemistry for Your Life was created by me, Melissa Cleany, and Jam Robinson. And Jam Robinson is our producer. He's our audio engineer extraordinaire. He makes this beautiful sound in your ears. And this episode was made possible by our financial supporters on Patreon. Thank you so much to those of you who want to help make chemistry accessible to more people and who are willing to give up some of your very precious funds in this economy to support us and make chemistry accessible to even more people. And those supporters are Jesse R., Sierra L., John T., Avishai B., Bree M., Brian K., Carol R., Chris and Claire S., Chelsea B., Derek L., Elizabeth P., Emerson W., Hunter R., Jacob T., Christina G., Katrina H., Latila S., Lynn S., Melissa P., Nicole C., Rachel R., Sarah M., Stephen B., Suzanne P., Timothy P., Venus R., Erica B., and Cullen R., and Jeanette N. Thank you all for everything you do to make Chemistry for Your Life happen. And an extra special thanks to Bree, who sometimes creates illustrations to go along with episodes of Chemistry for Your Life. You can see those over on YouTube.
And if you'd like to learn more about today's chemistry lesson, you can check the references for this episode in our show notes or in the description of the video on YouTube.
Yay, chemistry!
Yay, chemistry!
Yay, vitamin C!
Boo, scurvy!
Boo! That was funny.